All right, heading out to do some shed hunting. Hopefully find some animals and get them on camera. It's pretty early. I got up around 4:30 to go out and go scouting. And that does sound kind of crazy, but I get up and leave so early so I can get back home to the family earlier in the day. I also have a lot of homework that I'm doing with college, and so I get up early and get out there and get back as soon as I can. At the same time, I enjoy myself. So anyways, I'm gonna hit up an area I haven't been to for 2 years at least. Really beautiful place. A lot of bucks that I've seen, so I hope to find some sheds. We'll see if I hang any cameras. I'll have them if I need them, but it should be fun. Then I'll be back in time to spend some time with family and do some homework. Well, I'm about 60 yards from the vehicle and I just spotted, looks like 4 or 5 deer. See if I can zoom in on them. Let's see if I can find them again. Let's see here. Let me find them. Right there. It's sorry, this is as far as I can zoom. There's a few moving in there. It's exciting. I believe they're mule deer. My first tip of scouting is to glass and take your time instead of just rushing to where I wanted to get to. I go in, 30 yards or so, stop and glass, and then you find deer. And I'm sure there's more deer. I just need to stop and take my time and find them. So I found a good spot to kind of sit and glass. Normally I want to be on top of the mountain in the morning so I can see everything's moving around. Right now everything's kind of working its way to their beds. I think it's around 7:51, so it's almost 8 o'clock. But typically I try to get in the shadows back here and glass instead of being out in the sun, where they can see all your movement, all your hands and stuff. On that note also, you don't really ever want to be skylined, so that's when you're on kind of like going over the top of a ridge and they can see you, there's nothing behind you, so your silhouette is completely visible. You want to avoid that if you can, because they'll spot you. So I'm going to take some time and just kind of pick apart this mountain. So I just texted my brother to ask him. I told him I'm making a video on how to scout, and asked him if he had any tips. He left me a voicemail. I'm going to check it out, but he said when sweeping left to right, up and down, you need to stop the movement and use your eyeballs instead of your glasses. So that means instead of just going back and forth, you stop and you use your eyes to look up and down to the left. There's a lot going on when you're moving like this in your glasses. So that's definitely a good tip. And the more you do it, the easier it's going to be. It just takes time. And you're able to spot a deer butt or a deer body, and you can see it. Even with naked eye, you can tell that looks like a deer. I want to check it out. I remember when I was little, I would always see something that looked like an antler, and I'd stop the truck every time, tell my dad, oh, I think I see something. And it never was, but then I started looking for bodies, so the deer and stuff, and it helped me out and helped me be able to spot a lot better. Also, thinking about when you're trying to get up on the mountain, you don't want to be seen, stay in the shadows. Again, the sunlight just kind of emphasizes your movement, so Stay in the shadows as much as you can. Finally some deer tracks. I'm really surprised I didn't see more earlier, but I'm getting higher and the deer trails are getting more prominent. So this is a pretty cool spot. This is where I got the picture of the biggest buck that I've got on camera. His name's Chester. right up here and down in here. This is also the spot where I got the 11 or 12 deer in one picture. Came from right here. Made it up to the top and on a glass out there for a little bit. Let's see if I see anything. Nebraska, it's pretty flat, so anytime there's a mountain, it's kind of hard unless you've been training for it. And I wouldn't even call this a mountain, but it's a hill. So let's see what I can find down here. Don't see anything, so I'm gonna keep moving. One tip I have to have fun out here is to bring food. Gotta have some good snacks, good protein, granola bars, jerky, something to keep your body fueled so you don't get too fatigued out here. Definitely have water. I was out here a couple years ago and I was out, seriously 2 miles out, and I ran into a turkey hunter and I was drinking on my, I talked to him for a little bit. I was drinking and yeah, it's like, do you have any more extra water? And because he was out, he only had like a 20-ounce bottle and it was late May, and I said, yeah, I got some. So I was on a bike because I went on this other side, and I could make it back to my car within like 15 minutes on bike, but he was deep back there. So I filled him up, and it's one thing you don't want to be without is water. And you might think you're only going to be out here for a little bit. You might fall, hurt your ankle. It might take you a lot longer. It might get really hot. You might have to stay overnight. So you just never know. You want to be prepared with everything you need, whether it's an emergency blanket, food, water, all that kind of stuff. You just kind of want to prepare for a worst case scenario. And you don't want to be hungry because then you're angry and hangry, so it's not good. So definitely just trying to be prepared. All right, I found a good spot to hang a tree or a camera. I've actually hung a camera here before. Had a doe and her fawns multiple times right out here. There's fresh droppings. There's a ton of tracks actually over here, which is pretty good. I haven't been seeing a lot of tracks, but you can see some coming down and then off to the side. So they're coming in through here, so I'm gonna hang a camera. Should be able to catch the deer coming through here. Let's try to spread it out. I don't want it like a huge pile of it. Just in one spot in case there's multiple deer. I've made plenty of mistakes where the camera's been angled too high or too low. This one, I almost think I need to go a little bit higher. Should be able to catch all of that. And you know, if you want to, you can always take your phone and set it up to like take a picture and kind of line it up with the camera and hit it, take a picture, and then see what it looks like, and you kind of get that trajectory. I always try to cover, kind of tuck in all this stuff so nothing's hanging out, because you really don't want anybody to see this. You want it to be blended in so no one even comes and looks at your camera. See with these straps, I always strap them down and tuck them in. Just kind of wrap these in here. You just don't want anything flapping around, anything that'll bring attention to it. If you're not super familiar with the spot, mark it on your phone so you don't lose the camera and think it's like, oh, I know where that is. You show up and can't find it. It's always good to mark it down. And if you have friends that are going to check your cameras for you, you know, they can share that information with them. So I don't turn it on until I'm ready to go. I have it all set up. Just pack up, make sure all my settings are right, make sure it blinks, and walk away. And I never try to be in the camera. I just walk away, and then whatever comes, I'll check next time. And it'll probably be a month before I come back and see what it captures. But I'm pretty confident. There's tons of tracks, and there's even more that way. So I'm going to take the other cameras and follow it and see where another option might be. Asked my dad for some tips for scouting that I could share with you guys. He had a number of tips. Let me get closer so it's loud enough. It's a little windy. I have a wind muff on my mic, but it doesn't seem like it's working that good on the playback. So anyways, when scouting, treat it like you're hunting. Try not to be skyline much. Try to go from one side of the ridge to another through the trees and crevices. Try to be undetected. Be aware of wind direction. Move slow coming over the ridges or open areas. Use the trail cameras to do the scouting for you. Walk the perimeter around water, even if it's 100 yards or more, to cut the trails. Look for scrapes. Big bucks will often return to those areas. Look for trees with large open areas, exposing good shooting lanes and well-used trails. So you want to find a good spot. That's part of scouting, is figuring out, okay, I have a good deer trail. How am I going to hunt it? Looking at the shooting lanes, like my dad said. Make sure you have the room. I like to be able to see the deer coming from a long ways away. It's not always possible in your setup, but it's easier. It seems like it's easier for you to get ready if you know they're coming, obviously. So look at alternative ways into a stand to avoid laying down your scent where the deer will be traveling. So when you're getting to your area, try not to cut their trails. Try to go around. You don't want to take the easiest route all the time. You want to be undetected. Glass the open area from a distance whenever possible, so you don't disturb the area. And then when you're going into your area, use a scent eliminator. So I'm definitely a big fan of scent eliminator. I like dead downwind. I've used scent killer. Either way, I think it's good to use something. I've been snorted out by plenty of whitetail that are coming in, and I'm ready for a shot, and I can hear them snort because they smell me. So it's easy to get lazy and not think about it, or just kind of be like, oh, I'm fine. But it does make the difference. Looks like this is a heavy trail going through here. Could be a good spot for a camera. Alright, so I set up a camera up there. Got corn here. They're coming through here, so it should stop them either way. And I put it right there because if I was to go this way, there's a tree right there with a lot of limbs, very green, so it's going to be moving a lot, get a lot of movement and trigger the camera here. It shouldn't be too bad. This stuff's not going to move around too much, this yucca plant, so I think it's a good spot. We'll see what it does. Alright, just set up my last camera. It's a pretty good spot. It's nice and open. I'll put some corn down here. The other thing to note is when you are hanging trail cameras, you want to go north to south, not east, like not have it pointing east or west, because that's where the sun is coming up and going down. And so a lot of the night shots or morning shots, the sun's going to be directly on the lens, so you could have a lot of bad shots. So just be aware of that. And here, it's not that big of a deal because there's a lot of shade. It's going to protect that. But just be aware that I've made the mistake of having it west or east and having a lot of bad lighting shots. So I think this will be a good spot. All right, hope you enjoyed the video, and hope you learned a little bit more about scouting for deer. The main thing is just to get out there and do it. get out there and learn about the area. Google Maps can only do so much, and just getting the boots on the ground and really learning the terrain and visualize how you're going to hunt it, make a plan, is really going to help you be successful when it's time to hunt. So let me know in the comments if you have other ideas or questions on things you want to learn more about. I can do some videos on. I'm definitely not the expert, but I'm always trying to better myself as a hunter, and I want to be successful every year and bring home the meat. And so if you can relate to that, if you want to learn about something else, and if I can help, I will. So thank you for watching.